Recently, Iran's ambassador accused Ukraine of direct military aggression in a letter to the United Nations for sending experts to intercept Iranian drones, claiming this constitutes active participation in hostilities. An Iranian member of parliament went even further, stating on March 14th that Ukraine's support to Gulf states made it Iran's legitimate war target. As a result, Iran has reportedly launched a hunt for Ukrainian personnel and assets in the region, with reports about an alleged strike on a warehouse in Dubai linked to Ukrainian interceptors, where Iranian sources claim Ukrainian operators were present. While not confirmed, the pattern signals that Ukraine is no longer just countering Iranian weapons, but as a result is now being targeted directly. To understand the scale of the threat Ukraine is helping to counter, consider this. Since the war began, the UAE has intercepted more than 1,350 drones and over 230 ballistic missiles. Bahrain destroyed 176 drones and 105 missiles. Qatar intercepted 47 drones and 118 ballistic missiles. And Kuwait reported hundreds of drone and missile attacks. The Gulf states' existing defense systems were simply not built for this kind of volume. In a closed-door briefing on Capitol Hill, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Kane acknowledged that the relatively cheap and low-flying drones, which can saturate and overwhelm air defenses, have been a bigger problem than anticipated. This escalation unfolded as President Volodymyr Zelensky was actively engaging Gulf leadership and visiting Ukrainian teams deployed in the region. During his visit to Saudi Arabia, Zelensky met Ukrainian air defense specialists who had been operating there for over a week, already delivering tangible results. According to both Ukrainian and Gulf officials, these teams are helping significantly reduce the effectiveness of Iranian drone and missile attacks. Zelensky emphasized that Ukraine's battlefield experience is now being translated into real protection for civilians across the region. Governments in Saudi Arabia and the UAE have acknowledged that Ukrainian expertise is saving lives, highlighting how quickly these systems and tactics have been adopted. This visible success has only reinforced Iran's perception that Ukraine is actively undermining its military strategy. On the ground, Ukraine's deployment is highly structured and deeply integrated. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed that Ukraine has deployed 228 counter-drone specialists across 5 regional partners: Jordan, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait, to help intercept incoming threats, an expansion up from roughly 201 personnel a week earlier. These are not symbolic deployments, as they consist of combat-tested air defense operators, drone intercept teams, and tactical advisors with almost half a decade of experience countering Shahed-type attacks. Ukrainian teams are embedded within local defense systems, working side by side with host nation forces to build layered protection networks. Their approach combines early detection through radar and sensor integration, and the latest electronic warfare disruption technology that has evolved in day-to-day use in Ukraine against the latest enemy drone versions. Ukrainian specialists also help the locals to organize quick mobile fire groups, teaching them how to operate more efficiently, but also how to use Ukrainian low-cost interceptor drones instead of relying solely on expensive missile systems. This layered defense model is already proving effective. Ukrainian officials state that the country produced over 100,000 interceptor drones in 2025, and that the combat success rates of these platforms exceed 60%. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense also reported deliveries approaching 950 anti-Shahed interceptors per day in December 2025. The economics are compelling. Interceptor drones used in Ukraine typically cost $2,000 to $4,000, allowing threats to be engaged at a fraction of the cost of traditional interceptors, such as the Patriot missile, which costs around $4 million per shot. The cost contrast is even starker at the operational level. In the first 3 days of the Iran war, the United States and its Gulf partners burned through more than 800 Patriot interceptors, more than Ukraine received all winter. This is precisely why Ukraine's drone ecosystem has become a strategic commodity. Zelensky has framed Ukraine's pitch in explicitly transactional terms. If partners can spare the high-end interceptors Ukraine cannot get in sufficient quantity, Patriot Advanced Capability 3 missiles, Kyiv can help fill the gap with what it can scale faster and cheaper. Interceptor drones, plus the crews and tactics that make them work. Crucially, Ukrainian experts are not just advising, but actively coordinating operations, shortening decision cycles, and enabling Gulf states to respond more effectively to drone swarms. Within weeks, this integration has transformed regional air defense capabilities, turning Ukraine into a key security provider in the Middle East. The commercial dimension is also significant. Ukraine has signed framework cooperation deals with Saudi Arabia and Qatar in recent days, and has said one is in the works with the United Arab Emirates. Zelensky told Reuters, "Ukraine is sharing expertise that is not available in the Middle East. Expertise is not a drone, but a skill, a strategy, a system where a drone is one part of the defense." Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also requested talks with Zelensky about potential cooperation on drone defenses. Behind this Ukrainian move lies clear strategic logic, with Kyiv targeting the Iran-Russia military axis at its source. Iran has been supplying Russia with thousands of drones used to strike Ukrainian cities, and weakening Iran's ability to deploy or refine these systems directly reduces pressure on Ukraine. At the same time, forcing Iran onto the defensive compels Russia to divert resources to stabilize its ally, whether technical support, equipment, or expanded political leverage. However, the broader context presents challenges too. The Iran war has delivered another indirect hit to Ukraine through disruption in energy markets that has bolstered Russian oil sales, especially after the White House suspended economic sanctions against the Kremlin to ease the crisis. Brent crude oil has shot above $100 per barrel in recent weeks, and analysts say higher prices expand Russia's fiscal room to sustain a long war. Beyond immediate military effects, Ukraine is also reshaping geopolitical alignments. By supporting Gulf states, it is building long-term partnerships with countries in the region that were previously neutral or even leaning toward Russia. At the same time, this reduces the likelihood of new anti-Ukraine alliances forming, especially after past examples where external support such as North Korean troop deployments of up to 15,000 soldiers strengthened Russia's position. Now, anyone siding with Russia risks actual consequences, as Ukraine will do everything to disrupt their efforts. Overall, Iran's reaction reflects how seriously it views Ukraine's expanding role. And by targeting Ukrainian specialists and assets, Iran is acknowledging that Kyiv's actions are directly impacting its strategic capabilities. Despite the accusations, Ukraine is pursuing a broader objective to weaken the Iran-Russia partnership and its military capabilities while building new alliances. Ukraine went from almost no domestic drone manufacturing to exporting operational expertise to Gulf states and training NATO armies at the same time, in just 4 years. In doing so, it achieves two critical goals simultaneously: reducing the flow of weapons used against itself and expanding its network of partners in a region that was once beyond its reach.